Welcome to the 2023 Winter Classic Student Cluster Competition Studio Update Show. Now, here are your hosts, Dan Olds and Addison Snell.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the final 2023 Intersect 360 Research Winter Classic Invitational Student Cluster Competition Studio Update Show. I'm Addison Snell, and as I have been all season, I am alongside Dan Olds. Actually, I haven't always been. Sometimes I haven't been here, and Dan's had to superimpose my head onto something silly. I hope you've enjoyed those videos. But, Dan, I am excited to be here today because we're going to reveal our big winners.
We are. This is where it all comes out. Who did what happened? And speaking of those videos, that will be in the director's cut edition of this. So look for that at the end.
You get to see what you missed. And
yes,
boy, if you haven't been following along, shame on you, because Dan, we did this in 2022, and what an exciting race it was. That was incredible. Right down to the finish line. And I thought, well, gosh, we've had the ultimate experiment.
Again.
Yeah, can't have something like that again. And then, did we? Holy smokes!
Damn near a carbon copy. Last year, in 2022, Prairie View made a huge surge and came within 2 points of the leading Tennessee State team. And like you, I figured that's not going to happen again. But then we had this thing going on where two teams were close, and UC Santa Cruz was surging, but the Channel Islands High Performance Dolphins were holding a lead, and it tightened up to within 2 points going into the interview.
And really, all the teams have done a great job this year. And if you're just joining in for the big finale, like watching the last 2 minutes of a basketball game, because that's where all the action is, let's catch you up and take a look at just a quick reminder first of the competition and what's at stake, Dan.
First, the competition. First of all, this is exclusively historically Black colleges and universities and Hispanic serving institutions. We've been like that from the start. It's a virtual competition. We built it from the ground up to be a virtual competition and have added mentors to the mix, mentor organizations who they provide the hardware access, they provide the application they want the students to do. Usually it's something that's near and dear to them, and they teach them the application. And we go in this week on, week off format where all of the students get the same training from the same mentors for a week using the same hardware. So it's completely level playing field. Then on Saturday, they have to produce and turn in results for their optimized application. Then they're off the next week. And we've been going for a while. We started on February 13th, and we finished her up on April 14th.
There are a couple things I really like about this format that are really important. First of all, just at the top level, if there's one topic that is the most important for the long-term health of high-performance computing, it's going to be talent. And that has to include diversity of talent. First of all, because we need access to the full range of people. And if we're only going narrow, we're not going to get enough. And what we'd like to do with this is ensure that the next generation of talent replacing you and me doesn't necessarily have to look like just you and me. Heaven forbid they look just like you and me, Dan.
Yeah, we found some great talent out there.
There is great talent out there. And the fact that it's a virtual competition, like you said, it levels the playing field, gets everybody equal access. And I'm so proud of all of the teams. Every one of these challenges is normalized to where the number one team gets the 100% credit. And then the rest of the points are doled out proportionately. So across 7 challenges or different scoring events, that's 700 points total. And we want to see how they do. And let's talk about those teams. Who were the teams this year? We had 12 teams from across 10 different schools.
Yes, we had California State University Channel Islands sending in 2 teams, the High Performance Dolphins and Results Not Guaranteed. And then we had Texas Tech University, and this, I guess, is becoming a tradition. They send in 2 teams as well, the Matadors and the Red Raiders. And we have, what do we have? 3 or 4 new teams this year? 4 new teams.
University of New
Yeah.
Mexico was new. UC
Yep.
Santa Cruz was new. Cal Poly Pomona was new.
Actually, UC Santa Cruz, not new. They were in the very first
not
one.
last year, but they were before. You're right.
Exactly.
I stand corrected.
Yes. And University of New Mexico is new, as is Jackson State and Cal Poly Pomona.
Cal Poly Pomona. Then we still have, we also have Morehouse in there. Florida A&M is in there. UTEP is in there. Boy, out of all the stuff that we do here, my favorite is just the judging interviews, the team interviews, catching the enthusiasm of the students and hearing from them, many of whom are experiencing high performance computing or some of the tools, even at the level of Linux for the first time, just seeing what resonates with them and what doesn't. And here's a student who really likes the machine learning, and someone else likes the visualization. Someone else is into cybersecurity and what can be done there. And just the different passions are so much fun.
But the real key to all of this that's universal, they've all found out that the hurdles to getting into this industry aren't that high.
They're achievable.
And that they can do it, and that they have done it. And now they're in a position that's better than just going through and taking classes on this. They've had hands-on 4 different supercomputers from 4 different sets of experts teaching them.
Yeah, they've opted into this beyond their regular jobs and school jobs. This is an optional program, and they dive in. And it's because of those mentors who host these challenges. They're the ones who are teaching these students along the way. Let's meet the mentors.
Yes, we have, and all of these are 2-time mentors, which is great. The mentors get a lot out of this. They really enjoy it. So we started off with Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and they did HPCG and HPL. LINPACK, gotta have it. Then we had NASA running WRF. That's pretty important. Weather and climate is pretty important if you're shooting stuff up through it. We had Oak Ridge National Lab doing a blast challenge. That was a lot of fun, showing a blast propagating through a video, through a photo.
Mm-hmm. And with a lot of image recognition and mesh refinement in that. Very cool.
Learned a lot about meshes there. And then AWS closed it out with their GROMACS challenge.
GROMACS chemistry application, and interesting because they focused both on absolute performance and on price performance. So if you're operating within a budget, how, what other choices could you make? And we've recapped each of those challenges individually on separate studio update shows. So if you want details on any of those or how the students did, look at the individual challenges and plus the mentor interviews.
That's right.
Really recommend, please go check it out because the mentors get a lot out of working with this. And then, of course, it's not just mentorship. There's also sponsorship on the line here. And that's what makes all of this happen. And we're big thanks to HPE for being signed on as our platinum sponsor, as well as a mentor this year. Thank you to HPE.
Yes, absolutely. We also had AMD, AWS, BioTeam helping out as always, Cornelis Networks, and Penguin Solutions, who also, Penguin helped out on the mentor side, as you're going to see in a minute, with the first task, the HPC Pop Quiz.
Yeah, so you're the organizer of this, Dan. You keep it all going. I have fun with the studio update shows, but it's the mentors and the sponsors and, of course, the teams that are really making it happen. So big thanks to the mentors and the sponsors.
And also, speaking of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, we have a special treat. Trish Damkroger is going to say a few words about the competition, about what students are getting out of it.
Okay, so with that, let's take a look at how things went. Again, if you're just joining us because you're tuning into the final exciting 2 minutes, we'll give a quick recap on how these challenges went, Dan.
Here we go. First challenge, first task, which has become a tradition, the HPC Pop Quiz. This year brought to us by Penguin Solutions, who came up with a bunch of the questions, and they were tougher this year. It
They
was a
were
much
tougher
tougher
this
quiz.
year. The intention here is to give the students kind of a primer, an overview on high performance computing. What are some of the things it can do? What are some of the ways that it's used? What are some of the possible careers that are available in high performance computing?
Yes.
These were, and it's not just cold. We give them reading materials, we give
Give
them
them a little
links.
bit. Yeah, we give them some
So,
stuff.
so there's some intro that they can do, but these were some pretty tough questions. I think I would have gotten maybe a good solid B on this. That's where I'm going for. I'm getting a B.
Yeah, that's respectable. That's respectable. So that was the pop quiz. And let's take a look at the results from that. This was the first appearance at the top of the leaderboard for Channel Islands High Performance Dolphins Deluxe.
Yeah,
this was 100 points.
Strong showing for Channel Islands Dolphins right out of the gate, and this became a theme. They were our early front runners, and they stayed in front. This was a strong team, but
At least
then
until the interview.
at least until the interview, and then we'll see how that went. But then other schools that are here that continue to strong performance: Cal Poly Pomona, the Red Raiders we often saw at the top, New Mexico, UTEP rounding out the top 5. These are all very strong performances and schools that we would continue to hear from throughout the competition.
And thanks to Penguin for helping with that. So task 2,
From there, we went to HPE. I'm sorry, Dan, you were introducing it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you love it. It's LINPACK.
LINPACK, the top 500 challenge.
And who better to do this than HPE?
They're on top of the top 500 list with the Frontier supercomputer, and these same students would also get introduced to Oak Ridge National Labs, where that Frontier supercomputer lives. A lot of students really liked the LINPACK challenge in terms of just, all right, I get it. I've got the math. I want to see how fast I can do the math. This was a common favorite among these students, and they got great mentorship from HPE. Who was on top?
Well, it was a Texas story, the top 2, with the Red Raiders pulling in 100 points on it. Team Matador close behind, which is nice.
Texas Tech in the top 2 spot, a 1-2 punch. Way to go, TTU.
Starting to surge a little bit here. I love me some
Slugs.
We had Morehouse turning in their best result ever. Fantastic. And results not guaranteed from Channel Islands gets in their 5th place.
Yeah, our other Channel Islands team. That's really nice seeing them in the top 5, but that wasn't all they did with HPE. Of course, we want to see LINPACK, but a nice companion benchmark to LINPACK has been the more challenging HPCG, the High Performance Conjugate Gradient benchmark, and HPE mentored the teams in that as well.
And this turned out to be a trap that almost all of the teams started out with LINPACK first. They got it running, and HPE had told them, here's the maximum theoretical that your system can get. And so they started changing things. They started tuning it. They started doing a lot of iterations, all the permutations, and they kind of forgot, at least several teams kind of forgot about HPCG.
That's all right. We'll get to that on
it's
Friday.
A half-hour run. Maybe we'll push that to Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Late morning.
Did show up in some of the scores. It was a hard one to get a score in on, and only a few of the teams really excelled at it, separating themselves from the competition.
And that's the top 3 in here. We have Channel Islands making another appearance, the High Performance Dolphins. Santa Cruz right there. Texas Tech Team Matador. What these top 3 teams did, though, is they divided their team and they were working in parallel. Parallel, Addison.
Parallel.
Gotta like that.
Gotta like parallel computing.
Oh, yeah.
But look at that with Santa Cruz and the High Performance Dolphins from Channel Islands. That's almost the same score. I mean, one of them getting 98.5% the score of the other one. That's very close to a dead heat, but Channel Islands taking the top of the podium.
University of New Mexico representing, and you got to give some props to UTEP getting on the board with this. So, good job, HPE. They did, in fact, a heroic job, because they were doing a major system upgrade on their training systems. And they spent a lot of weekends and nights getting that ready for us. We really appreciate it.
And we're really grateful. And then from there, as I said, speaking of the top of the top 500 list, the teams were off virtually to Oak Ridge National Labs, where they got, as we were discussing, a blast challenge with some image recognition, mesh refinement. They had a couple of different things to recognize. There was a Parthenon, there was an oak leaf. Go back and check out the footage of that.
It was pretty cool.
On top of the leaderboard.
Yes. By the way, they were on the Ascent cluster, which is the mini-me of Frontier.
Right. Yes.
So they're using 6 GPUs per node. It was eye-opening for them. So
same architecture as Frontier, that test and development system, right?
And this is the beginning of Santa Cruz's big surge. And although the Dolphins aren't far behind, they're not number one on this one.
This was the first top score by UC Santa Cruz by the Not So Slow Slugs, and it would not be the last. The question is, they've got some points to make up on the high performance Dolphins and whether they would be able to do it. So while they came in first, it was only ahead by 2.5 points. This is another one of those very close scores at the top.
Yeah.
But well done by UC Santa Cruz to get on the top.
Look at Jackson State.
Great score by Jackson State here.
Jackson State. We go back and look at the interview with Jackson State. Fun team, fun school, but small. Their entire enrollment in computer science and engineering is like 160.
Small school, absolutely first introduction to high performance computing for a lot of teams. And I will tell you from the team interviews, a lot of schools, this was the challenge that they struggled with from a technical perspective the most. And then when we talked to Jackson State, this was the one they liked the most. They're like, yeah, we really got this one. This was our favorite application. And it reflected with the highest score that Jackson State would show on any benchmark in the tournament.
Yes. We got the Matadors coming in at 85.5. That's nice. And Cal Poly Pomona keeping their name on the board, staying in the hunt.
After Oak Ridge, they went off to NASA Ames Research Laboratories and they tackled WRF, well-known weather and climate code. They were doing some typhoon modeling.
Interesting thing about the way NASA set this up that I just love, they set it up in stages where students could score points, I think at 5 or 6 different stages, just building the app, running it, or actually before that, just getting the libraries loaded correctly because they had to go into and start tackling Fortran. Yay.
Fortran. Gotta have your Fortran if you're going to do an HPC challenge.
There's your veggies for you right there. There's some Fortran. So NASA really set this up well and mentored it extremely well. UC Santa Cruz, second consecutive win, and they pick up 8 points on the high performance Dolphins in this challenge.
Dolphins in second place again. There's a 1-2 punch of Santa Cruz and Channel Islands again. This is Ali and Frazier time.
It is. Texas Tech Matadors right in there, a little bit behind. But you're going to see a pattern that they tend to come in third everywhere.
Our other Channel Islands team, results not guaranteed, getting onto the leaderboard.
And Cal Poly still showing it.
Cal Poly Pomona, well done in the top 5. I like how we're seeing the different teams pop up on the different challenges. There's a lot of great work going on here.
But this is a time when they're starting to really settle in.
Oh, yeah.
They're starting to kind of get some confidence and know what they're doing. Not everything is a complete shock and surprise.
Absolutely. Okay, then there's one more technical benchmark challenge to do. It was off to AWS for the GROMACS challenge.
Yes, it was. And take a look at this. Who's there? Say it. Say it, Addison.
Santa Cruz again.
You want to say
Santa Cruz, the Not So Slow Slugs, with their third straight 100-point performance. And this time it wasn't the Dolphins in second place, although the Dolphins were comfortably in the top 5. But Cal Poly Pomona pulling off the second place, and Team Matador there again in third with the other Texas Tech team, Red Raider, rounding out the top five.
57.6. Yeah.
This was another great challenge. GROMACS is the most commonly used chemistry application from across high performance computing. As I pointed out to most of the teams during our team interviews, a lot of the stuff in the world is made of molecules. So there's a lot of chemistry out there, and GROMACS has a lot of applicability. You learn how to do this. It's got a lot of fields where you can run GROMACS. Now, what did this do for our challenge overall, Dan?
This was the last computational challenge. So take your hands off your keyboards now. It's down to the interview. And the interview is worth 100 points like everything else. Who does the interviewing? The mentors. The ones who intimately know the applications and have the results and know how the teams did. And you look at this gap, 2.09 points between the high performance Dolphins and the not so slow Slugs.
There have been a maximum of 600 points award so far, and the difference between first place and second place after 6 challenges was 2 points.
It's incredible. I didn't think it could happen again. I mean, I wouldn't have even tried to rig it this way because no one would believe it.
No one would believe it. And then it all comes down to how these teams are going to do in the interview. Now, before we get to the results, there's another important set of awards that we need to do.
Just to stretch it out a little bit.
Just to stretch it out a little bit. We're going to let the results of the interview sort of hang out there now that we built the tension. But from across all these teams, we were able to take nominations and applications for the Bruckner Award scholarships named for our friend and great student cluster supporter, Rich Bruckner.
Rich loved these competitions. He passed away a few years ago, but he really dug the student cluster competition. I'd be over filming them. He'd come up, Dan, who's ahead? Who do you like? Who do you got? Who should I talk to? And he loved the whole concept. He would get in there with the teams in his trademark red hat, and he started to be a recognizable force there.
We reviewed the applications. You did most of that work, Dan, and eventually we selected 8 students from across different teams to be the recipients of 2023 Bruckner Award scholarships of $1,000 each. Let's see the names.
Here they are. Congratulations to all.
Ellie Lawrence, Alora Ibish, Harrison Power, Jorge Garcia, Nicholas Anderson, Rick Ramirez, Rodney Dorsey, and Jije Wang. Congratulations for being recognized as the Bruckner Award scholarship winners from the 2023 Winter Classic Invitational Student Cluster Competition. You guys did tremendous work on this and really showed a lot of initiative and leadership for your teams.
And plus they got their applications in on time.
And they got their applications in on time, and we're really looking forward to seeing you and your fellow cohorts in this industry for years to come. Congratulations to all those winners. And now, with that out of the way, Dan,
are you ready to rumble? Let's see what we got.
All right. Why don't we start with, we were going to start at 5th place, but it was so close in there that we really want to recognize the top 7 teams in here, because that realm of 5th through 7th was really pretty close.
And look at the Red Raiders, number in 7th place. They showed up on the top 5 leaderboard a few times. It was just kind of consistent performance, a lot like UTEP. And New Mexico, they were just consistently at the same level, which is great.
Very similar, and it didn't rate to say, all right, we're going to recognize New Mexico as 5th and then not mention UTEP or the Team Red Raiders from Texas Tech. All these schools did a great job. And
it was close.
And it was close, and they had consistent performance. Then in 4th place.
Except in one case.
Oh, tell me.
Cal Poly carved themselves out 4th place.
Yeah,
there was no one within 50 points under them or 50 points over. It was a gap on either side. They were in the rocking chair.
They're just off the podium, but they were a very solid 4th place. And as you mentioned, they were frequently in the top 5. They were sometimes up there in the top 3. Cal Poly Pomona, from a small school, really with a very strong showing in their first Winter Classic Student Cluster competition.
They held down 4th and were unassailable after the first 3 challenges or so.
All right. Who does that give us in third place, Dan?
The Matadors from Texas Tech University, third place. As you saw from what we've reviewed so far, very consistent performance from Texas Tech.
Very consistent performance from Texas Tech. Most importantly, from Team Matador, they get bragging rights over Team Red Raiders. They get the campus bragging rights, and they get the bronze medal on the podium. Well done, Team Matador, for a very strong showing. Yeah,
this
and
the trophy. You gotta
have the trophy round.
That's right. And actually, last year, Red Raiders brought in the trophy. This year, the hardware belongs to the Matadors.
All right, well done. Now, here's where we get to drum roll time, because as we said, it was a 2-point game between the leading Channel Islands High Performance Dolphins Deluxe and the hard closing UC Santa Cruz Not So Slow Slugs. Those Slugs trying to catch up late in the race. Let's see who's in second place, our silver medalists. It is the UC Santa Cruz Not So Slow Slugs, just behind. They're in second place with 655.35 points, and that means in first place
is
Cal State University Channel Islands High Performance Dolphins Deluxe, 659.65 points, ending just ahead of the hard-charging Slugs. Well done, Dolphins. Well done, Slugs. What a race.
4 points makes the difference between that gold trophy and the silver trophy. That is incredible.
Both these teams had really strong interviews. In fact, yes. I really enjoyed the interviews in general. Yeah. There were some great interviews out there, including from teams that were further back the leaderboard. My highest points actually went to one of the teams that were not in that top two. There were a couple of teams that just had amazing interviews.
I've got to call out one. My highest points that I've ever given in a cluster competition interview, and I've judged quite a few of them, went to University of New Mexico. I got to give them some props there, not just because they interviewed really well, they did, but you know what they did during the down weeks, Addison? Well, you were there. They built clusters. During the off weeks, they went out, found some hardware, and practiced, and they built 3 clusters. They had their advisors build one, and they split the team up and built 2 more and tested them. Was it useful? They weren't so sure. But did they learn a lot? Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And you're just hearing from the students and their experience and what they learned through the competition, what they were interested in, what they want to do next.
Yeah.
Any of these students in here who are doing this, opting in, trying high performance computing for
on
fun.
Their own time.
On their own time.
And they're splitting up, in some cases, in all cases, school. In all cases, they all have jobs. And some have families too.
Yeah.
And they took time out to get into this very intense competition that went on for 2 months.
It's very cool. I'm very proud of all of them. So I'm extremely grateful.
It's a definition of self-starters.
Absolutely. So if you're looking to hire somebody new in high performance computing as an intern, as a new hire going forward, we've got some connections for you. You tell us who you're looking for, and
we've got some resumes, we got some contact information, and we've got some that have expressed
the whole point of
interest.
this isn't the last time we want to see these people. We want to see them for a long time until they're the ones in this chair bringing on the next generation after us.
And the great thing is they're self-starters, they're motivated, they're hungry. They want this. And it's just been a fantastic competition, Addison. It was even better than last year, I think.
All right, well, then let's start wrapping it up with a couple of closing thoughts. Of course, huge thanks to all the students, all the schools, all the mentors, all the sponsors. It can't be done without all of them. And I will extend that thanks, Dan, to you specifically, because this is your project. You were doing this before you started working with me at Intersect 360 Research, which then last year was your first year that we did this together. But I want to acknowledge that this Winter Classic Invitational is your brainchild, and I would love to see it continue. Well done.
I think it will. And we've hit the goals, which is to teach students about HPC, give them some new and greatly marketable skills, and then try and get them in. And we got some, I think. Now, that's going to depend on you folks out there. If you're looking for highly motivated and skilled new hires, full-time internship, they're here. And we can help you get them. More than happy to.
Well, and thank you to our audience out there as well. I have fun putting on these yellow blazers, Dan. It was your idea to do this sportscaster format kind of studio update show, and I was skeptical, and I'm only a little embarrassed to admit how much I love this jacket.
Digging it, and especially the emblem, right?
We got the emblems on the jacket. We're all set.
We got the coffee cups.
Got the coffee cups. We got the spirit going, and I look forward to doing this again. That'll wrap us up for the 2023 Intersect 360 Research Winter Classic Invitational Student Cluster Competition Studio Update Show. Dan, thanks for a great season.
Thank you, Addison, and we will see you next year. Dan Olds here, and we're talking with a longtime HPC persona, also a longtime supporter of student cluster competitions and the Winter Classic in particular. It's Trish Damkroger with HPE. Tell them what you do, Trish.
Hi, Dan. Pleasure to be here. And I don't know if you're just calling me old a long time or just maybe seasoned. I like to think of that, but
go with whatever makes you feel better.
There you go. Okay. I am the Chief Product Officer, Senior Vice President at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And that means that I get to be involved in all HPC aspects at HPE.
So you got your beak in a number of different ponds, hey?
I guess so.
Nice.
Yeah, from product to engineering, etc.
Fantastic. And gotta love you, because you've supported these competitions for a long time at various places, but particularly this Winter Classic one. HPE is the platinum sponsor, and we couldn't appreciate it more. But why? Why do you do this? Why are you so nice?
Why? Well, I think, the same reason that a number of us are so dedicated to supporting that next generation. We need people excited about high performance computing. It is definitely the future foundation for all this large language models, ChatGPT that we're all talking about. And this is about getting that next generation exposure. And what I appreciate about the Winter Classic competition is the fact that you're really focused on the diversity and those that may not have access to these large systems.
Yeah, not only may not have access, do not have access in most of the cases. And the thing that's really cool is that when I'm interviewing them and I ask them, did you know that HPC was a thing? No. You do now, right?
Don't change that, right? I mean, that's what this is all about.
And we have a goodly number that are interested in coming into the business, including a couple that have called out HPE.
Which we love to hear. I think that, HPE, I joined HPE a year ago because it is the leader in high performance computing, and bringing in that next generation is so key of what we need to do. And I just think we have the ability to continue to grow a foundation through the classics and also through working with the universities. And I'm just really thrilled.
It's a number of different ways to do it. So let's talk about something you and I haven't talked about before. Good. How students can best use this experience, what they should do next.
Apply for internships, apply for jobs. You met some amazing people. I'm talking to the students, not you, Dan. But the students met some amazing mentors. The people that volunteered from HPE do this out of their own time. It's beyond their day job and they love it. Every year they get excited about it. And so, connect with them. Connect with those people that you met. Connect with the organizations that support the Winter Classic competition, apply to the jobs, the internships, or the jobs. Go to grad school and get a master's. Talk to us about if that's of interest to you, and we can connect you with the universities that might be a good fit for you. I mean, we want to help you. And so engage.
Absolutely. And we've had a number of students get in, and that's a big problem, is tracking them after the competition.
Yes.
Because then real life comes back in, and I just don't have the cycles to track them all down, and they're moving and changing email addresses and all of that. But I do know that we've had students that are doing internships for the NSA, one that got hired by Livermore, at least one, maybe two at Sandia.
Good.
And I know there's more. I absolutely know there's more, but I just can't remember them right now, and I'm not tracking it. So there you go.
Well, I know, through the Supercomputing Conference SC, we have a large student program, and we face the exact same challenges. How do you track them? How do you make sure you're supporting them as they go? I mean, that's another great opportunity. If people really enjoy this and they want to get even closer to this community, sign up to be a student at SC. Super fun. You'll have a blast.
Cool. Well, Trish, I got to thank you for taking the time for this. I know how busy you are, and got to thank HPE for supporting the competition. Really appreciate it.
Oh, I mean, this is something that all the way up in the chain, we are super excited to be a platinum sponsor and to help you put together the best program for these students.
Well, thank you again, and we'll see you next year.
Of course, I'll be here.
Okay. Hello, I'm TV's Dan Olds. If you've been watching student cluster competitions, particularly our recently completed Winter Classic competition, then you've seen a lot of me on these videos. Well, actually, you've seen me on every video because that's what I do. I edit, process, render, and post every video. Every video. One person you haven't seen on every video is Addison Snell. How to describe Addison? Well, he's the head of Intersect 360 Research and my boss. I've dubbed him the Tom Cruise of HPC and myself the Don Rickles of HPC. But the casino Don Rickles, not the Don Rickles from CPO Sharkey, if you get that reference. For you students out there who don't know who Don Rickles is, watch some YouTube of him. Give yourself a treat. Anyway, back to the videos. When we first started doing these vids together, there were a lot of times when Addison couldn't make it. Rather than just announce that and drive on, I started putting in little video snippets of what I imagined Addison was doing rather than recording the show. So now, for the first time, here are all of those snippets in one place. I hope you enjoy them.